Miss Neha Time is our alumni. She did her BSc and MSc from Department of Foods and Nutrition. She is a certified diabetes educator and the recipient of Rising Nutripreneur Award 2019 under Innovative Nutrition Product category. Neha was also featured as a Women Achiever in Nuff Foods Spectrum magazine in December 2017 and in March 2019. She won the gold medal from the MS University for her excellent performance in academics at the entire Faculty of Family and Community Sciences. Neha is the founder and nutritionist of Snack Right.
Okay. So, firstly, a very good almost afternoon to everyone. I would like to thank MS University and all my teachers for inviting me here today. It is a great honor to be a part of this and always go back to your university. Uh, Again, sharing the panel with such an experienced person like Dr. Iram and also someone who is amateur like me, Dhara, is a great privilege. So, thank you. Mini ma'am did mention in the beginning that we have accomplished speakers with us today. So I'm not sure about that yet. Snackrite is still growing. We are still learning. But yes, whatever I have learned, whatever my experience has been through these years, I would love to share it with you all. So you get a good starting point or some ideas for your startup and entrepreneur journey. Uh, Dr. Iram has given us a lot of food for thought. She has made my job easy because she did discuss in detail. My topic today is going to be a little more specific to my personal journey, what I faced, and how my story has been. So I hope you enjoy it and let me start. So just to tell you, I'm not sure everyone knows. So SnackRite is a healthy snack delivery service. We are an online service, no shop. So people order on our website and we deliver the snack box to their home. And that's it. They can enjoy healthy snacks which are made and approved by a qualified nutritionist. So we did add on many more things to this as the journey went ahead, but this was the starting point for us. Of course, I will mention what all we have been doing as the years have passed. And let me okay. So how did the idea come into my head? What was the conception like? So I was before doing this, I was consulting as a dietitian. I was visiting faculty in SNDT, Women's University, SVT College. Also, I was taking up several research projects. So I did try a lot of things before this, just to tell the students who are here right now. So it's not that after college I immediately jumped into this. I did try out several things, and I'm happy about that today. Uh, while consulting, I felt that there is a need. There's always a constant question coming from my clients. What should we eat in the evening? What should we snack on? We feel hungry. And personally, I myself, I'm a big foodie. So when I used to go into the market and scan for healthy snacks, I used to feel no, there is something wrong over here. A lot of the so-called diet and baked things are actually not really healthy. So yes, the simply out of the need to give the right options to my clients and people at large. And of course, I felt right from my school days, I had the passion to do something on my own, not uh, be in a stipulated kind of 9 to 5. 9 to 5 is just a thing to say. It's always 9 to 9 kind of a job nowadays. So I never wanted that. So of course that was a big push for me. And we did not arrive at this dry snacks concept in the first go. So first I wanted to as a new fresher, I would say, in the entrepreneur field, I wanted to have my own cafe with nice healthy salads and snacks and soups, and people should enjoy all that. So I started meeting people who are into the restaurant industry, who are into the food business, and I started speaking with them. And somehow I realized that starting our own cafe, a health cafe, is not something I would be able to handle. I don't know. I just had that thought. So I thought the second best thing I want to do is dry snacks. So that's how I shifted. In fact, I had also, standardized a lot of salad recipes. We worked on salad dressings, and after that, I changed my track. So that was about it. In fact, the passion why I'm sharing this is, there are small things which tell you that you are interested in this. So my major at MSU has been dietetics, okay, which is completely clinical and therapeutic kind of thing. But we had this one subject, food service management, which all the students used to hate. I mean, they are like, okay, why do we have this subject? And we had that presentation to submit, wherein we have to plan our own restaurant or some food manufacturing setup. And that submission, I had spent hours and hours and hours working on it, as if that was my major dietetics thesis submission. So somewhere I was always interested in the food service or manufacturing part of it. Of course, I did adapt to several things as and when the things went ahead. But just because there are a lot of people who want to begin their entrepreneur journey, I have just mentioned some of the points in my talk today. So some qualities, we always feel that we want to do something. A great idea is not enough to start a business or jump into an entrepreneur journey. So I always felt that I had this dislike for monotony. Going to the same job every day was not my cup of tea. Or I did feel I have leadership qualities in me, as in I'm able to handle a small team or group of people. I always had the desire to stand out. The desire to stand out can be a negative thing for some people, but as an entrepreneur, I think if you want to, make your mark and stand out, you have that in you. I think it can be a great thing as a entrepreneur. And always the excitement to do something new. Not not being satisfied with things you are doing, but every time, okay, what next? What can I do better? That these qualities in me, I feel that helped me in my journey up till now. So if you are someone who likes routine, who likes no change, I'm sure then you are not probably made for entrepreneur journey. There were always tough decisions which I had to make when I started. So like I said, I was teaching in SVT college in Mumbai, and I tried to do this along with my job. It was a visiting kind of job at that time, but I also had certain research projects going on with the college. And I decided this is not happening together. I need to either go into the teaching thing, or I either need to give my full time to this dream of mine. So there I was. I stopped. I decided that I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to stop consulting altogether and completely dedicate my time to this. And bang, at that same time, my principal ma'am tells me that there is going to be an opening for a full time faculty. This was like two dreams offered to me on my plate, because I love teaching also. So but I had to make that tough decision. I let go of that opportunity, and I discussed with my family, with my husband, my partner, that I want to quit. I want to work on this dream of mine. So there I was for about 9, 10 months. I was, this is all after my marriage, okay? So I was at my in-laws' place, and I decided I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to sit at home and do my research and plan my startup. Now, this sounds very easy, but it's a very tough decision to make. Luckily, I had a very supportive family with me, and they made it easier to do this. But what I want to say is that you always have to, yes, you have to be passionate, but always weigh the scenario in which you are right at that time, and then go ahead and take those decisions. So for me, uh, I decided to quit, and there I was 10 months sitting at home and just doing research. Now, all this in detail, the previous speaker has covered a lot, but I'm going to share what I went through. So since my majors was dietetics, okay, completely clinical. We have studied food science as a subject, you all know, wherein we cover some basics. But beyond that, really, we are not food tech people. So what did I do in this, 10 months, which I feel was the most important part of the entire snack right journey. So lot of research. I mean, today I see some college students who are approaching me and they're like, okay, I have this product idea and I want to start making this. But such immediate and instant decisions are not sustainable, I would say. So research is very important in different aspects. So first and foremost, of course, the products was the main thing for me. So I was there are decisions, like there are different options for you. Either you can manufacture the products, or you decide to use some other food facility to manufacture your products and then just repack them, or you want to be just an aggregator and you don't want to manufacture anything on your own. So all these things you need to work on. Then what the products exactly are going to be. So of course I was fascinated with the idea of energy bars and nutrition bars. So I thought that I was good at making those. So I decided to go with that and started standardization. Of course, we cannot skip this step. Minimum 3 times standardization, minimum. I'm saying it is always going to be more than that. But simple things like standardizing your recipes, getting your proportions right, then market and evaluating the market and demand. Now, of course, it's not the sequence. This is not the right sequence. Some things may come before this, some things can go after, but I'm just pointing out what all we need to look at, or I had to look at. So as nutritionists sometimes and health professionals, we feel that when we make something really healthy, it's going to be a hit and people are going to love it. Okay, this is without preservatives, this is without sugar. People are going to just go gaga over it. But it's nothing like that. You have to take the consumer demand, consumer uh, what they feel in mind. So doing those surveys, now you don't need to hire market research agencies at the first go. You can do it on your own. You can talk to people, you can talk to your friends, you can talk to your family and get a general idea of their understanding or what they want. So that can be a starting point. So right at the start, we realized that, okay, energy bars are great, but Indians are not someone who can let go of their namkeens and chudas and farsans. So right at the start, we got to know that savory is something we also have to demand, design simultaneously, because just energy bars as the only snack option would not sustain. For the model which we had in mind, of course, you can go ahead and do one product also, but for the model which I wanted, like a snack box for everyday snacking, I realized no one is going to have a protein bar or energy bar every day. Then, of course, your small pilot trials with your products, sensory evaluation is very important. Again, don't go by what you feel. You have to take into consideration what your customer or what your consumer is liking or not liking. So pilot and sensory studies become really, really important. Now, you again, another research was packaging, which was like a big thing for me, because in the start, of course, we have all these ideas in our mind, and I really wanted everything eco-friendly and sustainable and all that concepts I had in mind. Then I went to the market, I found out all the costs, and I felt that, okay, this might be a little difficult to go into complete eco-friendly packaging and everything. So we decided to research about more pocket-friendly options. And of course, plastic, which is food grade. Personally, we would like to avoid that, but sometimes depending on your financial or your business plans, you have to take some decisions. So then what materials should we use? It was all Greek and I don't know, Spanish for me, that LD plastic, PP plastic, how many layers, and everything was too much for me. So of course, uh, I had that curiosity on in me to find out about everything. So one thing is that don't get too harrowed with the amount of information that comes in once you start. You always have experts, talk to people who are experts in their field. Always approach people and say that, okay, I need your opinion, I need your help. So at least that was something I could do. So I spoke to a lot of people, and that really helped me. So you will have a lot of people in different industries. I mean, the help around, there is no lacuna of help around you. You just have to ask. So yes, packaging, the inner packaging, the outer packaging, what all should be used. Like initially, I remember I had found this good box, which was decent looking, not too fancy, and I just went ahead and ordered them for my delivery. And then once it reached me, I just realized that, okay, this box is not going to sustain in the delivery. Like courier people, how they handle it, it's going to be just get smashed, and it's going to tear off. So there I was with 200, 300 boxes inventory with me, and without proper thinking I had ordered that. So there will be some learnings along the way, but yes, you can always take some calculated risks, and that's why this research becomes very important. Then other aspects, I'm just going very fast in all these topics. There is a lot under everything which I would like to discuss, but I just want to give a brief overview of the areas. So I'm going to go fast. It's not this 2 minutes small, okay? So logistics, again, like we had developed some nut butters, and we wanted, like people loved them. They were really happy with them. But I realized that, okay, my courier guy said, I'm not going to take your glass jars in delivery. I'm not going to take any guarantee whether it will break or not break. Of course, you have high end services now which will take care of that. But 4 years back, I was really, I was like, okay, I cannot invest in the vacuum packing and all that. So then we just, discontinued that idea. What is going to be the cost of all these things? So, talking to different courier companies, comparing their cost, they have different terms of business or tie-ups which you want to do with them. Like I remember that I was very confident that the courier company is going to give me great deal because I'm going to have regular orders with them and all that. But I just realized that I'm a very small player for them. They have they when I say big orders, they expect like daily you have 50 orders and all going in. Then they were ready to give me better deals. So I had to negotiate a lot with them, understand simple concepts like MOQ. Every like raw material was a big concern for me. Delivery, of course, came in later, but before that was the raw material survey. So I spoke to a lot of, I went to a lot of shops over here, like in Mumbai, uh, in different areas. I think it's everywhere that some areas are expensive, some areas are cheaper for the same product. So of course, I had to travel far. I had to visit the wholesale market, find out their costs. Now, again, they don't entertain you very easily. If you say, I want half kg, 1 kg, 2 kg, it's not very easy to, even enter the shop of these wholesale people, because they are like, okay, minimum you have to take 10 kgs. So that was a big challenge for me. So imagine, I don't know whether my demand for product is going to come. And if I have to sit with, because all my major ingredients were costly, like dry fruits, nuts, seeds, pumpkin seeds, hazelnuts, cashews, pistachios. And imagine if I have to sit with 10 kg of all these things. So they were very difficult decisions for me, because so then I had to go to a retailer and tell him that, okay, please give me a better deal. Little sweet talks would help you in some cases. But yes, so wholesale market came in a little later, wherein my orders or numbers started coming in. But every time checking the raw material, it's very very important, because ultimately if you don't give a quality product, nothing else matters to the customer. So some people still ask me that, why do you go and buy your materials. I mean, after 4 years, don't you think the vendor will just deliver it at home? So yes, he will deliver it at home, but unless and until I have the confidence in that cashew or pista tasting nice, tasting sweet, having the perfect crunch, not having moisture, or until and unless I see the product, I don't feel the confidence, because I want to give best to my clients. So if you start compromising on these things, then ultimately your product can suffer. Of course, you can hire someone, that is always going to be an option for you, but personally I think I am more confident if I know where my raw material is coming from, how it is. So I still, even after these many years, I personally go to the wholesale market and choose the batch or lot for it. So again, all this is a process that you will learn, and like I said, you don't need to do it on your own. It's a choice. You can hire a person for everything. Like I can hire a person who can take care of my logistics, take care of my sales, take care of my marketing, take care of my media. But it's a choice that I made, that I want to, at least in the initial years, I want to be involved in everything. So it is up to you again. So like the terms like MOQ, people used to ask me, these vendors, कि आपका MOQ, मतलब हमारा MOQ is going to be 1 ton. And I used to be thinking, okay, what is this MOQ? Then of course Google is there to help me. MOQ was minimum order quantity. So these things you will learn in the process also. Then apart from raw materials, logistics, it was also the legal and regulatory affairs, which I think most people get worried about. And I would personally like to say that the legal and regulatory affairs is the least concern act for any startup, because for now it is so streamlined and it is so easy to get a license or a registration if your documents are in place and if you know what you want. Of course, there are agents to help you. So that should be your least concern, especially for startups and small ventures. It's not so complex. Like I am still having a FSSAI registration because that is for the small business entities. For the large business entities, it is the license that you require. So the body is making it easier for everyone to do things legally. So don't worry about that. There are many other things that you should worry about than getting your FSSAI licenses. Of course, I also have to go to the BMC office, which was, BMC is the local Mumbai Municipal Corporation, which was a big task for me. Going there, first of all, finding the right person in these government offices, getting information. All this is there online, but I always had that doubt, ke, how things are in India, that maybe online mein likha hoga, but again when I go there, they're going to ask me for some other documents. So I personally went and visited the department. There is the license which you require to run the business for your, the place. So there are different local and government bodies whose permissions you would require. If you are doing business in a residential complex, you require permissions from the society, or if it's a commercial place, again you have to check those things. Then other things in legal and regulatory which were challenging for me were the entity formation, the accounting and taxing. Like as nutrition students, from like a bio student, bachpan se I've been a science student, and I used to hate numbers. I used to hate math. I used to hate those bank statements. But once you get into your business, there's no escape for that. So I had to understand all that. Till today, I'm not an expert in that, but yes, my family CA, my husband, who is coincidentally in the finance area, they are still helping me understand all this. So right in the beginning, we didn't decide to go and form a business entity, like whether to form a private partnership business or a private limited or LLP. All this was way too difficult for me. So what I decided was, okay, let me start, let me get my things in uh, running, let me take a understanding of the customer feedback, and then probably look at forming a entity. Of course, the FSSAI license and the permissions were there right from the first day, but this business related aspect, that forming a company, all that I hope said, okay, let's put it on hold. and take it at a later stage. So we did that after 1 year, and I think it was the right decision for me, but it can be different for you. I mean, you can just go ahead and start your business with the formation of a company and all. It's completely up to you. Then there's GST, which I had to understand. Which was again challenging for me, the composite scheme, the other schemes and all. But like I said, there are people around to help. So if that is something, you should be ready to ask for help. Like if I would have been that, okay, I am a MSc postgraduate student, I'm a gold medalist, and this and that, and if you feel low, slightly under you to ask for help, then things are not going to work for you. So go ahead and ask for experts in your help. You can decide what is priority for you, because like I said, there are different things. You want to worry about raw material, you want to worry about the product, the logistics, the regulations, the packaging. You can decide, okay, this is going to be my priority for 3 months, and then just make a timeline so things can be easier for you. A lot of youngsters, they start worrying about the least important thing first, like media and marketing. Media marketing, your Instagram page, Instagram followers, I think they come at a very later stage. After you get all these things in place, you can always work on the media marketing part. Of course, I'm not saying that you should not market your product in the beginning, but you can worry about getting those followers and likes and all later. But so prioritize your things. That is going to be very important. This research is something you can never stop. You have to keep on doing it, and talk to someone who understands more than you. Don't assume that you know everything. You don't know everything. And talk to people. Keep asking questions. There is no stupid question, there is no wrong question. I mean, so many of our MSU alumni is placed in different bodies, different wonderful food organizations. Drop in a mail to them. Just be professional about it. I mean, if I get a WhatsApp at 10 o'clock saying, ma'am, I want to talk to you 10 o'clock in the night, I am put off like immediately. So be professional, follow your etiquettes properly, and I'm sure everyone will be ready to help you. So research, research, research. That can never stop if you want to, go on in the entrepreneur journey. So finally, after 10 months of research, we launched in 2016. We are still growing, still learning, still adapting. Like we added on corporate bulk orders, we added on lot of festive gifting orders, because this was not the plan. But our clients started asking us, okay, for Diwali, can you make healthy sweets for me? Or my father is a diabetic and I want to give him something on his birthday, so can you make a gift sweets for me? Then events, like we did some events like marathon events, and also gradually we started adopting things and adding it to our business plan. So this journey is going to be evolving always, and you'll also have to give up certain plans. So you might have decided certain things, but if you see that it's not working, be ready to let go of those things also, because then as a leader, if you are stuck on making something work, then your team finds it very difficult to work with you. So yeah, that box was the first design, and we are still having that for our subscription boxes. But other things we have just changed over the 4 years. Like I said, we did a lot of events. Like we did cycling events, we did marathon events, we did corporate employee gifting. All these things really helped us to boost our confidence in ourselves and in our team. So of course, the first order of those 500 packs which came in, we were so tensed whether my team will be able to do it. And my team was not big. We just had 2 kitchen staff, and we had to hire temporary people at that time. But yes, it did work, and we gave it our best, and things just started falling in place. So yes, all those things were very special for us. So just to give you in summary, if what challenges or what things you can look at, I would say that, like I think even Dr. Iram covered in detail what can be the causes of failure. So of course that is also very important. I look at it as what challenges you might face. So knowing your strengths and weaknesses, like I said, every you are not going to be great at everything you do in business. So know what you are good at, and knowing what is your weakness. Like I knew that my weakness is the accounting part, the taxation part, delegation was so difficult for me. Being a perfectionist and those nerdy kind of students, you always want to do everything on your own because you feel that koi aur अच्छे से कर नहीं पाएगा. But that is not the case. In a business, you have to learn to delegate and uh, give task to people and trust that they are going to do it. Once you train them, you can always correct them, you can always tell them the right way to things. But delegation was a biggest challenge for me because I wanted to do everything on my own, and then I was too stressed, it became too much. So yes, delegation, knowing your weaknesses and what you are good at. Financial and family support, being sure about this. Like a lot of attendees over here, or nutrition college students are women. So being sure about this is very important. Taking your family into confidence, even if you don't have ready financial support in the family, if you're going to take a loan, that is also perfectly okay. But sharing with your family members, with your husband or with your parents, is going to be very important, so that they are on the same page, and then that is not an additional stress factor for you. Family support, again, very important. Like if you have a great idea, it's the right time to launch this product. But say if you are just married, and if you are belonging to a family who has certain expectations from the daughter-in-law, or if you are going in the family way, and those are not the right timings to jump into the journey. So making sure you have complete support of your family and financially is going to be very, very, very important. So luckily I had both of that, and that has helped me in my journey. Being ready for sacrifices. There are some people who want to do a business, but it's not a very you know what I would like to say कि दिखने में अच्छा लगता है कि वो इसका startup है, and she has such a great life, she doesn't have a job, she doesn't have a boss. But it's not that easy. So being ready for sacrifices at the family level, at social level, missing out on your friends parties, missing out on family gatherings, not being able to meet up friends. If you think that you can't do that, then I think you're not ready for that. Now these are very small things. I'm mentioning that because they can't become a big deal in the journey. So initial 2-3 years minimum will take to set up these things, and all these challenges might be big for you. So I'm just highlighting this. Motivating your own self. I think being in a job is easier because there's a boss over you, or there's a salary which for that you are working. But when you are a startup, or when you are your own boss, it is very difficult to motivate yourself every day. Like when you're sleeping and everyone else at home has gone to their job and they're working, and you're like, okay, I think I can sleep an hour more, and मुझे कौन सा job पे जाना है, or Saturday Sunday, I think it's okay, I'll take a break. So that motivating yourself constantly every day, no one is going to do that for you, and you should be able to do that. If you are really passionate about it, it's going to happen. Business acumen, learning about it if you don't have it, learning about things that you don't know, breaking out of the professional mode whenever required. So like when I visit my vendors, or when I'm talking to my courier guys, I cannot talk as a nutritionist to them. I have to talk like a normal person, go to their level, understand that. That is also very important. You cannot behave very hoity-toity each time. So you have to get out of your professional mode also sometimes. Then, of course, I'm sure we have given you a lot of food for thought, and you are ready to be an entrepreneur. It can be different things. Like you don't always have to have a new idea. If you have a new idea which is not done today, great. But if you think that something is there in the market, but you are better at doing it, or better product, you can also do that. So there are hundreds of energy bars in the market, but I felt that I can still give something better. That's how I got into that. So just because it's already there in the market doesn't mean that you can't give a better product or better service. Or there can be expertise also. Now in the food industry, it's not just product. Nutritionists are in demand for a lot of other things also. So whatever profile you are in, you can I'll just show that on the next slide, that there are a lot of options today for nutritionists. Like when I passed out, uh, I'm very happy Dr. Meenakshi shared so much that the college is doing even for this field now. Because when I passed out, say what, 10 years back, I think, uh, we didn't have so much guidance about getting into the food industry per se. So I am very happy for students right now. So you can be a manufacturer, you can be an aggregator of products, or if you don't want that but you still want to be in the food industry, you can go into the regulatory part. So FSSAI now is working a lot with nutritionists, which was not the case 5 years back. So you have scope now. So you are in the food industry, but you can go into the regulatory aspect. You can go into the safety. Food safety is a big given big importance now, so you can go there. Quality control, you can do some courses to get expertise on that. So a combination of a person who understands nutrition, who understands food, and is also expert in safety and quality control is a big thing. You can do a product development. Say you don't want all this big jhamela of starting your own thing, you can go into a company or any startup and say that, okay, I am great at making new products, I will just keep on making new products for you, and just go there as a product development person. Or of course sensory panel is in great demand. I mean, I don't know if so many of you would be aware, but there are some big companies who would pay you very well to go there on to be on their sensory panels, and you can take benefit of that. Say you like आपको अगर पता चल जाता है एक नमक का दाना भी is less in the food, then you would be a right person to go into a sensory panel expertise. And there are people who have also ensured their uh, what you say taste buds, they are so good in what they do. So there are many options even in product category for you, so you can just decide what you want to do. Just before I go, some gyan, because it's always necessary to leave you with some thoughts. Again, this is not a complete list, but just what I could think of while making this. So always test your market. There will be a lot of market surveys, there are consumer surveys, but at the end of it, your niche, your expertise, and you need to have confidence on your product. So test your market, but know your niche. Dedication and hustling 101%. I mean, remember, you cannot be lazy in your startup. You cannot take breaks. You cannot take holidays. At least when you are building your startup, it's very, very important. Networking, connecting, growing together. I cannot emphasize how important this is. You cannot run a business as one person, however good you are. You need to network continuously, talk to experts, and grow together. Discipline and ethics is going to take you a long way, which I think is lacking a lot in young students today. So, discipline, ethics are very, very important in everything you do. Take risk, but I would say take calculated risk is very important. So, taking risks, but knowing what can be go wrong and what can go right is very important, and always coming over your own peers and not being too hard on yourself is very, very important. Ask yourself whether is this my hobby or is this my passion. बहुत बार हमको लगता है कि you like doing certain thing, but are you going to be able to do it 24/7 365 without a salary, without vacations? Then that's your passion. If you want to do it just on Saturday, Sunday, it's your hobby and it's not your passion. I'm sorry if I'm, being a little negative, but it's just that these questions you can ask yourself and just start on a right path is what I would feel. Being able to handle uncertainties is also very important in business. Like last 3 months, of course, my kitchen is shut and I don't know how and when it's going to start, when people are start going to going to order again. So this is an uncertainty which comes with any business. Of course, COVID time is completely different, but this comes with any business. So be ready for that. And do you have a backup plan if this fails? This is a very important question, because if you have a backup ready for this, then I don't think it's a right thing to do, because if it's your passion, you're going to give it all. If you know कि ये नहीं हुआ तो मैं ये करूँगी, then you're never going to give your 101%. So just go in, make your dreams come true, because the satisfaction and the happiness which you get at the end of it, when your orders are complete, when your client, appreciates you, it's unparalleled, and nothing is going to match that. No profits are going to match that. So there will come a day, after all the hard work, that you're going to say that yes, I did it, this was my dream, and that is going to be the best feeling ever. So thank you so much for having me on this panel. Best wishes to all the entrepreneurs to making your dreams come true. uh, don't be afraid of taking chances, even if you have done some course and you are there 10 years in it, and after that you want to change, it's still okay. There's never a wrong time to achieve your dream. I just mentioned this because there was a question, I think, in the panel about changing your specializations. Completely okay. Just give it your all. So these are how you can reach us. You can follow us, and I'm ready to help in whatever way I can. Thank you to Raja Sayaji Rao University, my department, the Alumni Associations for inviting me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Naina, for the wonderful talk. And I know a lot of students have been motivated by you.